So to continue on with the post that I made earlier today, this message was everything that I put out there is it's usually a result of a very divine unfoldment. And so this is something that started. There was a message I wrote about the Proverbs woman, specifically chapter 9, because I really want to get across the point that, there's something very special about chapter 9, not only because, nines represent completion in the tarot, but there's just a very significant thing about being a wise woman, the law, mostly in the spirit, but being the law and being a wise woman and how to handle situations. And that's the thing, handling a situation, because people have their own, and their demons have their own free will and their own choices. And this is something I feel like the church doesn't necessarily put a lot of emphasis on, because like I've said before, it's focused more on just being super submissive, and it doesn't teach you how to be confident. And like I've also said before, as we enter space travel, which is not something NASA does climate control, but there is an element there. But the I don't remember if it's the Galactic Federation, but there's a reason why we have Space Force now, and that is a real thing. So that those realms need leaders, and that's a lot of what I do. But in order for me to make sure that those things are done, there are prophecies needing to be fulfilled, and that is what I've been trying to get across to the collective, is that every one of us has a prophecy to fulfill, whether you read that Bible or you do not, or you whatever book of faith you choose. There are prophecies to be fulfilled, and unfortunately, people get so upset and in their emotions that they just completely dismiss all of it, and it sucks that happens. I'm not here to tell you to be one way or the other. I'm just here to create awareness and give you examples of the prophecies that I have fulfilled, and more recently, the more conscience prophecies that myself, some of them with my twin flames, some of them with a higher level soulmate, some of them just with a soul tribe member, that we have been able to fulfill these prophecies to just get them out of the doggone way. So I pray and I trust that these words I'm about to say reach the hearts and the souls, not so much the mind, but the hearts and the souls of the individuals that need to hear it, and that it is heard the way that God has intended it to be heard, because this is a pretty big manifestation, but it wasn't so much a manifestation as it was a vision, and this is one that I have been working on for a long time, and there's justice in this situation, and there is compassion in the situation, and there is considering that I met somebody that deals with neuroscience as this was unfolding today, in my physical reality, all the signs I got were mental health, and this is just a real life situation that happened, and I don't know how many others have gone through the same one, but I feel like it might be a pattern. And I know that as far as mothers go, whether you birth the children, your spiritual mother, divine mother, godmother, whatever, mother of a business like myself, or however, and I'm also a divine mother in some cases, and a godmother in others, and I haven't birthed children, but I damn well make sure that my responsibilities get fulfilled, and I've done that a pretty doggone decent part of my life, intuitively, before even knowing, that there are, other than what my book of faith, says, but there are, the other things, like I talk about the 14 responsibilities of a woman, of a wise woman, but that they don't say wise in there, but you can infer that it is a wise woman, and wisdom is a she, and that is what my book of faith refers to. It has just kind of encompassing all this stuff. But my main message, though, is the unfoldment of, to give this example to this young lady who I consider to be my daughter, and who I'm very, very proud of, and her ability to stand strong, and as a leader, dang, got me welling up with the tears now. To stand strong in her power, in a situation that looked to be chaotic, but this is a big takeaway of this, is just, as mothers and women, and being wisdom, this is also a lesson for mothers as well, and other young women and young ladies and girls, pretty much anything with a womb, actually all with a womb, that's why I read about woman, just in case no one knew that, but it's a lesson for the collective of all of that. And if you're a physical male watching, I hope that this reaches your feminine energy, because we all have a balance of both, but yeah, this but this is mainly just like a lesson of like how two individuals, one being Earth Angel, which is myself, and one being a Christian witch, which is the birth mother in this situation. And how the alchemy of the soul and the soul's purpose, when you really tap into it, can fulfill prophecies. And there are people out there probably already fulfilling prophecies, but you ain't giving yourself no doggone credit for it. And there are quite a few that I've already fulfilled, and a lot of them I didn't even read about in my book of faith growing up. I didn't read a lot about the ones that I have fulfilled. So the Chronicles, the third Chronicle, explaining the building of the temples. And now I'm going to go into a different kind of link made with the power of a lot of the energy going into this is going to have to do with Atlantis. It's going to have to do with Gaia. It's going to have to do with the cutoff. It has to do with fruit. And again, mental health. Caring for those that are troubled in thoughts, because that was kind of what happened in this situation, with this other mother. And so there's just so much I can say about this. And I mean, it's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful message, but you have to sort of make it resonate in your own. I can't tell you how to make it resonate for yourself, but I know that the one that I'm about to tell is a resonance for the individuals that were involved in that situation with me, and how over the course of a few years, maybe like within a 5-year, if not less, period of time, there were missions, known and unknown, that were the cycles to those were laid to rest. Literally the next day after I started writing some of these notes. And sometimes I just do that. I just write the note and I'm like, the rest of the message will come. It's kind of like Field of Dreams. They build it and they will come. And they say not to do that in real business, which is true, but like, or I mean, like in if you're out there being a merchant or something, that's another thing that that's going to go into this as well. But I just trust that your heart and your soul is going to make the links. Not so much your mind, but your heart and soul is going to make these links, and you're going to be able to draw from it some sort of vision of your own, to where you will be able to learn and discover a prophecy that you have already fulfilled, or one you're currently fulfilling, or one that you might in the future be fulfilling. And I encourage you to give birth to that very responsibly and very disciplined and very calm. And I'm going to say there's a lot of synchronization in this for myself and for the people involved, and there's a lot of pretty much cracking the codes and unveiling some of the hidden of the particular book of faith that I use, that as my tool of divination. And they don't refer to it like that either, but there's a lot that goes into that. I'm gonna try to digress with that one. But anyways, so on May 18th, 2024, I started writing, and I wrote, has anyone ever noticed how when God destroyed whole cities, there's reference to houses and house names, like as in, like, when God destroyed these houses, God pretty much integrity checked, the masses, and the main houses were the seeds of the city. So once the seeds became rotten, God took extreme measure via like pest control in the gardens, so those seeds did not create a bad crop. This is about to get kind of freaky, because this is the 18th of May, okay? So I went and I wrote myself a little note here in parentheses, like, find the verse in the Bible about we are all. And so then I put myself a little note here, and it said referencing mental health and caring for those who have troubled thoughts and doing it with humility and compassion. So then I didn't find the verse until today, which is May 24th, 2024. This is the unfolding, and this is the miraculous, weird kind of part of it. But I had made a note to look up Micah chapter 5, verse 8 through 9, which talks about cutoff. Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 11, talks about merchants and cutoff. So 111, that's significant. That's an angel number, right? And then 8 plus 9, 17. You got 5. 22, which is a master number. So, that is what I wrote. Now today, I was at my place that I go to, and there was a woman that came in, and I noticed something on her hoodie, and we were talking about it, and it had to do with hydroponics, and we got on the topic of seeds, and I was talking about how it's very futuristic, and these like grow farms, the ones that are doing like where they have like those places where the lights are all crazy, and it has all these little shelves with all these little seeds, and they're growing little seeds, like as if they're creating, new life, a new world, new things. And there's just so much that goes into that, because it's also a manifestation, so you have to like really think about these things. And I'm really big on seeds and gardening, even though I only have one plant, but a physical plant, like a aloe vera plant. But I gave her a name, and I talk nice to her every day and make sure she's taken care of the best I can, but maybe one day I'll have another garden, because I used to love gardening, but I'm really big on creating gardens. And so but I'm talking to this lady, and I'm waiting, and my intentions today were to go in and be in the spirit with this, strong young lady I consider my daughter, and that, she taps in and tunes in and kind of sees how I, and it gets to kind of spiritually experience how I do what I do as an earth angel, which is a lot different from what her birth mother does as a Christian witch. And so, ironically, I've talked about Christian witches, and I had some in my family that I was birthed into, and then I've just kind of come across some, a couple more recently, so it's like it was a hard learning curve for, I know, a lot of us, and like I've said before, some of these are also high-level soulmates, and I believe I said something about my twin flame also being one, but it's a learning curve, but it was all hard won, but it's a very divine connection, because it is a lot of multi-dimensional learning, and it has been absolutely wonderful. So that's something I was kind of talking with this lady with the place I go to, where all this is kind of unfolded. Was telling her how I value trying to teach people their divinity and help them unravel it. Not really teach them, like I'm not like projecting them on their divinity. I'm just like, I'm helping them discover and unravel their own divinity, just by speaking, very positive words, affirmations, signs, signals, synchronization into the reality, so it kind of is in the subconscious. It wakes them up in some way, and I do it with very, very good intentions, because I had people that didn't do that for me exactly, and luckily I'm an earth angel, so it didn't affect me too much. But I also feel a lot, so that kind of sucked. But all those days are in the past now. But so I was talking with her, and just so happens that she works in neuroscience, and but they focus on strokes, and so like what happens to the brain after you have a stroke. And so I've talked about how our heart is not part of the matrix. And that was kind of like one of those examples where, a science thing, because it is based in the matrix, it's those kinds of things where it creates some confusion for the heart. And it's like there's so much room and growth for spirituality when it comes to just medical science of the heart. So spirituality and medical science of the heart, and the fact that she mentioned neuroscience and heart, and I'm like, okay, so crown chakra, third eye chakra, and the heart, and then there's the throat chakra part where I feel like it gets blocked because of these two things that aren't, there's no one in that field to really, I mean, I can kind of be in that field too. I mean, I can really do anything, but it's just, there's room there. So if there's anyone out there that would like to try to spearhead that, that would be awesome. But there's a lot there where you don't have to waste all this time and energy to pick people apart and create more stress and project more things onto people. Like, there's just so much there, and I wasn't even planning on explaining it like this, but it's just I got a little passionate about it because it's the heart of a situation. So I'm going to continue on here. So today, on May 24th, 2024, at 1:25 p.m. is whenever this started unraveling. And sometimes this happens quickly, so I have to really process. So at 1:25 p.m., there's a link made for May 2024 today. So after the full moon, I don't remember what one it was yesterday, but there's a full moon and something yesterday on the 23rd of May 2024. Maybe it was a Gemini, Virgo, something. I can't really remember, but I'll let y'all look that up. Y'all can go get in the wormhole and hopefully discover something great. But so that was at 1:25 p.m. So 25 minutes later at 1:50 p.m. is pretty much where the Bible verses started coming in. And so 1:50, 1:05, so 15, 24 May 2024. So patiently waiting for synchronization is pretty much what I labeled it. So I wrote continuing the cutoff quote in the book of Isaiah. So I quoted this as IS, capital letters, Atlantis. Then I quoted again IS, because you got is Atlantis, and then at the end of Atlantis is the word is. So Isis, then I made another quote, is dash Gaia dash H in quotations. So is Gaia and then H. I wasn't going to keep on going with it because it was going to go for a while. So Isaiah is Gaia chapter 5 verse 1 through 7. So this is the parable of the vineyard. And so in this message it talks about a spiritual situation where something betwixt and I quoted, twixt is all in the mix. That thing, the thing that comes in between the left and the right is the mouth, the throat chakra energy. So I put one off, I put off, not of, I put off, one off a merchant's items, a temptation of a candy bar, had its signal created from the Bible. There is a reason why holy is the first word. There are holes that only some of us have been gifted the power to unveil the hidden truths. So upon reading this, there was a few unfoldings in my physical reality from the 18th to the 24th of May, 2024. So that's 6 days. So I need you to note the numbers in all this. 6 days. And it's linked to Proverbs chapter 9, which is an 18-verse chapter about how to be the example of a powerful wise woman, the law, in the first 12 verses, and the last 6 verses give the example of how not to be a stupid woman, the temptress. So in the parable of the vineyard, you can read that. I'll just read the verses for you. Now will I sing to my beloved a song of my beloved, touching his vineyard. My well beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vines, and built a tower in the midst of it. Now, when it says tower, I refer to the tarot because there are towers in life, and they symbolize death, rebirth, a barrier of some sort, kind of like why they built castles and their towers, and there's like all these barriers, there's all this symbolism, right? So there was a tower built, but they don't tell you that in church, but there was a tower in the midst of it. So it's almost like a contingency, we'll just say it like that. So towers are like a contingency in life. And also made a wine press therein, and he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem. So Jerusalem, when it's referred to, there's a lot of things having to do with Jerusalem, but they refer to it as a woman. And when I read and unveil the hidden things in it, there's a thing about the bowels, and how Jerusalem's bowels were just not okay. Pretty much ulcerative colitis, pretty much. And then there's a lot of other parts in the Bible where, you can, if like I know, the wind's blowing really hard right now, so I know I'm on it right now. if you know and you're gifted with this gift to prophesy and be a prophet and unveil these hidden truths, you will see and understand and understand that those hidden books you flip back and forth on when you read the Bible, that Jerusalem was set up to fail, because Jerusalem is referred to as a woman. And like I've said before, the Proverbs 31 woman, that, the instructors, the men, physical males, we're supposed to, we women are the law, but because, and even though we're protectors of the law, there were things that happened throughout time that just kept trying to destroy the creativity of women. And a lot of it was energies. But when it talks about Jerusalem, they refer to Jerusalem as a she as well. So that was where they took Proverbs and Jerusalem and made a mockery of all of it. And that's the stuff that I am not okay with, because women, we don't wage war, but a distorted masculine energy that we unfortunately had attached to our soul at birth created wars to be waged. And I myself and my friend that originally started a lot of this, we don't play like, we don't like, we're present, but we don't we're not there very long for the demons that want to play. We don't play with demons. If anything, demons learn, and they, learn how to be our friends, if anything. Like, that's just kind of how it's working out. It's been working out. But anyways, I'm going to continue on. So, and now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. So betwixt is between two people or things in the space. And then there's another definition of it, separating two people or things in between. Now you know the reference of what I made with the candy bar, the Twix candy bar. And it's a delicious candy bar, and it's temptress, but I'm just saying they're physical things that are still living out some kind of prophecy. They're trying to signal us. Everything that we touch from the merchant is a signal. And that's something that everyone needs to really start understanding, is that it's all a signal. Like when I was in the military, they used to tell us, if you're in uniform, don't eat a candy bar, which I find very ironic that this is how this is coming out, but I just thought of that just now. But is it because you don't ever know who's watching? And so, like, even though there's a lot of things throughout my service time where it was like, even though they didn't say it, but I understood the hidden part. And even though it seemed like I wasn't with the program in the spirit, and those who knew in the spirit knew exactly why I didn't quite follow the program. They knew. Same thing happened to my friend Valerie. Same freaking thing. So these are patterns. Like, so it's not just us. There's a lot of other people, I'm sure, gone through this, and they wonder. And these are why I make these things. It's creating the awareness. Okay. So, What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? ? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes? ? And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up. So they ate the wild grapes. Didn't let it go to waste. They just... And break down the wall, the tower. We're going to call that also the tower. The wall / tower thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. But they didn't necessarily lay it to waste because they ate the wild grapes. It shall not be pruned nor digged. So, those of you who don't know how gardening works, when you prune a plant, let's say like tomatoes, for example, or anything, but when you prune a plant, you take down some of the branches, you clean it up so that it can bear more fruit, and so that the nutrients from the soil goes up through the veins, the life of the plant when it's based in its roots, and gives the other branches more life to be stronger. So pruning, it's also something in metaphysics as well, and there's a lot of stuff I can go on with that, but I will leave it as is. But that's how I connect metaphysics and the Bible, and they don't mix science with a Bible of religion. It's also a spiritual, it's a tool of divination. So that is what happens during pruning. You cut off the weaker branches so that the nutrients get to the other ones to make it stronger, so then that plant can bear more fruit. And also to prevent disease. And this is nor digged. So whenever you dig up a plant too, and you kind of break up that soil, you're giving the roots the opportunity to expand. So there's a lot of symbolism in this. So it will not, and I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, which hosts is like United Nations. It can be the United Galactic Nations. It can be ET, other countries. That's what I think of in my thoughts, in my temple, when it refers to anything having to do with the host. Is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant, and he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry. So I won't get into that whole part of it, but the main point of it was to the betwixt part mainly, and something coming in between it. So when I said can give the example to be not a stupid woman or a temptress, but so in the parable of the vineyard, you can read that a vine produced wild grapes. Symbolically, this can be a reference to being a wild drunk and acting stupid. To prevent any further wild growth, the seeds of the grapes' wild harvests were still eaten. Symbolically, a bad seed did not go to waste. Even though it said that it would, but you have to see that before that, they still ate the wild grapes. So, symbolically, a bad seed did not go to waste because a lesson was learned. It doesn't say that directly in the verses 1 through 7. After the lesson learned and the questions were asked and the answers were given, the wild plant was destroyed. Symbolically, this is, quote, burying the hatchet. So this is the message. I did not bring a hatchet to cut the roots of that wild plant, because I am a wise woman. Whether she knew it or not, I brought an axe with a 3.25-pound head and a yellow PVC handle. Give me just a moment. So I brought something that had a significant number of weight for the dimension of that situation. On top of that, I also brought a blue tarp. The dimensions of that tarp was 5'6" by 7'6". So I brought those two items to that situation, whether she knew that or not. I brought those two, and when I bought those two from the merchant, this is the part where you be more mindful in your purchases. When I was walking out of the merchant with those two items, there was an individual, a Hispanic woman, in a vehicle watching me walk out with this axe and this blue tarp. Now, for some reason, I got this intuitive nudge, which was very weird because I don't think like this, but there was a feeling from that woman that she was trying to project an energy of, I'm just going to say somewhat making it out to be like I was some kind of axe murderer or something like that. And that was the energy I got. And it was really unexpected because I walked out, I was just trying to mind my own business, but I felt the energy, and then I looked to my right, and that's when I seen the woman sitting in her vehicle. And that was, and she stared right at me. We made eye contact. It was very, very weird. But it was the fact that I was walking just... I was actually having a really great day. I helped somebody in that store that day. It was nice. It was a very nice day. A lot of signs and synchronicities, but it was just the fact that that was the one weird thing about my day. So I bought that axe and that tarp because I was using it because I was going out to go camping. And so, but the energy that lady sent me when I was on my way to the car, and I felt the energy, and then it made me look, and then that's when I noticed the woman. I didn't notice her originally. So that's significant to those who know. But I did not recognize or know that woman at all. So, that's kind of weird because I didn't even expect to talk about it like this, but it needed to be said. Which is the beautiful thing in these messages. They happen like this. So, I did not know who that woman was. And, so I get in my car. I still see the woman. She's still kind of looking at me, but I'm like, well, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go do my own thing, So I did, because I was, excited. I was ready. I was like, I got to go get my stuff, the rest of my stuff ready to go so I can go camping, and have a nice, I already had, did my recon for the area, so I was going to go chop down this tree, make this big huge fire, and this fire pit that I probably haven't been using forever, circle fire pit, and just kind of, call my ancestors, and all that happened, right? But I needed an axe, and I didn't know how far I would have to, pull these trees, because I thought I might have to get some other firewood in case the other ones didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So all this stuff happened. So this is just the beautiful unfolding, things that happen in life. And but there's significance in the weight of that axe, because those numbers have something to do with and then the book of Numbers in the Bible also talks about, it's a military book. It's the book of the military. It's talking about how wars were being waged. So this is also very significant. But the number 325 was a room number of mine at one time when I was traveling. So there's just so much significance about this. And then the yellow PVC handle. So yellow is the symbol of friendship, but there was something that, but that it was made out of PVC, not wood. And let me tell you, that thing blistered the flip out of my hands. But, and I'm used to using before I used to have different types of axes for different types of wood or different tasks that I was doing with this, right? I wasn't even expecting to explain this part, but I wouldn't get blisters on my hands when I would use a wooden axe. So there's something significant about using a wooden handle when you chop down wood. Just so everyone knows that, don't get a PVC axe or anything like that handle. It's gonna, even wearing gloves, I still got blisters. So just forewarning, don't waste your money. But so anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and read this again. So, burying the hatchet, she did not know. I did not bring a hatchet, and I almost bought a hatchet also, and I didn't like the price of it, and I was like, why would I bring a hatchet to the situation that I was needing to cut something down? And these purchases I made with the merchants all became significant in more than one way. And I'm a very multi-tool kind of person, but I'm also a very careful and disciplined person when it comes to things. But this is why we should be mindful of our purchases, because you never know when somebody's gonna send some kind of energy towards you, like that woman did to me, which is still so weird. But I was like, because it kind of got me a little bit, I wouldn't say in my head, but it made me double think, is this woman sent here to, I had to look at the good and bad. So is that energy that she sent? Is it, one, she's a woman, but Spirit knows I value that. But is she an angel in disguise, or is she the temptress? And I had to ask myself those questions. And I chose with my free will that I'm literally just buying an axe and a blue tarp from the merchant so I can use it to kindle and feed my fire. while I'm camping, having a joyous time in healing. And that is how I had to choose my situation. But like I said, I'm not the type of person to hurt anybody, so the fact that that energy was even sent to me, so it's like, this lets you know that there are people that are good people, and they get things sent to them that they did not deserve to have sent to them. And sometimes they don't always understand it, and they get caught up in a freaking mess with the law or something more three-dimensional law, not like the woman's law, but like just get caught up in crap that they shouldn't have got caught up in. Okay, so and that place wasn't in the great side of town either, so I mean, there's just so much. And like, I'm very good at reading situations. Like, I have very, very advanced situational awareness, but this has to do a lot with my mindsets, my methods, my disciplines. But anyways, so I brought an axe with a 3.25 pound head and a yellow PVC handle and a blue tarp that is 5x7 and 7x6 to haul away the mess. The mess. Now, luckily, because I know how to use my tools, despite them giving me blisters, I did not have to open up that tarp. That tarp remained wrapped in its package because I know how to use my tools. And my body's also a tool, but it is my tool, my free will, my choices, my vessel, my soul, my journey, my heart that's not tied to the matrix, that I know how to haul away a lot of messes. So I hauled away the mess, but I didn't just do it in that way. So to haul away the mess, that I then returned to the merchant to complete the cut off. That is the important part. I purchased 2 items. I used 2 items, but I didn't have to use the second one because I'm so damn good at using one. But I came prepared because I did not bring a hatchet to any of those situations. That is significant. So then the cloth worn that covered the middle and the upper pillars of the woman, my chakra systems, that symbolized, so the cloth worn that symbolized the sourness of a few citrus fruit was returned to the merchant, specifically this one, Target, because I was made a target. I was made a target, and someone tried to tell me that I targeted somebody that I did not, because there was lessons to be learned. And so in the spirit, something else happened in that month. A lot of things happened in that month, but someone tried to manipulate, not guide, but manipulate my energy to make me feel like I was a target, and like I targeted individuals. No, let me just rephrase that. They made me feel like I targeted, and no one can really make you feel anything, but that was what those individuals' demons were trying to do when they projected that energy towards me. They wrote on paper that I targeted an individual, and I did not. I was the individual being targeted, but because the spirit of the narcissist, that script got flipped, but I remained unconditionally loving and kind and compassionate through the whole thing. So this is the lesson to this young lady. So the cloth worn that covered the middle and upper pillars of the woman, which is the chakras, the enlightenment. Your chakra, each one is a pillar, which is also talked about in chapter 9. Proverbs chapter 9 talks about the 7 pillars. Pillars are education. We have 7 pillars in our body, which is our chakra systems. Each one has a different lesson. So pillars of the woman that symbolize the sourness of a few citrus fruit was returned to the merchant target to complete the cutoff. To complete the cutoff, to complete the cutoff, to complete the cutoff. So cutting off the merchant. So this has been a story of multiple prophecies fulfilled. Amen. So you can now see, young lady, how you helped your birth mother and I, your divine mother, fulfill these prophecies in that situation. Because you stood in your power as a leader and as a young woman when you betwixt with your words the name of that character your birth mother created that attempted to wage a war against me. But because I am a wise woman, I am the law, I did not allow that character's demons to leverage out my inner peace and joy. Your birth mother probably did not completely catch on to the alchemy of the lavender bud and the citrus drink I once made her, that she kept as a cold case in her mini fridge, or the significance of a Bob Ross magnet I gave her for her birthday that mentioned something about not making mistakes, but happy little accidents. Well, she ran a bit too far with the trust that I put in her. Through it all, I loved her unconditionally, and I still very much do. Young lady, I knew that by trusting and responsibly taking disciplined actions, that justice would be served spiritually and physically for all of us. And God and the universe deals out the karma. And I do not partake in the folly of that. Meaning, when karma gets dealt to anyone that is a character or is an enacting character of as one of my enemies, and the wind is blowing pretty decently hard as I say that. But it means that I do not laugh or partake in the joy of that karma being dealt, because I have already left the situation. I have already done what I needed to do, and I walked away. Because as a wise woman, we do not go back to the situation once we know that the karma has been dealt. And this is something I dealt with a lot of times throughout my life. This is a side message from this, but there have been many times where people have done wrong against me, treated me a certain way they shouldn't have. When I was somewhere around your age, I worked for a franchise chain for food, and my boss definitely wasn't a leader, but he's a boss, and he was not so nice to me at times, and he would make fun of me and bully me, and I was one of his harder workers, and he just had his demons. And so he years later, I think I was probably in my early 20s maybe, but years later, so well over 5 years definitely, somebody approached me and told me that that boss I had was put in prison for embezzlement. So that young lady is an example of I didn't laugh. I was just like, oh my gosh. But when karma is dealt, sometimes it takes a long time, but once you leave the situation and you let it go, God and the universe and all the divine forces will make sure that it gets taken care of. And this is the biggest example your birth mother and I want you to realize as a young lady, and next year or this year, becoming a young woman, that you don't take folly or partake in folly of someone else's demise or anything like that. You go in and you either you'll be Twix and you'll be a medium or something in that situation, by using your throat chakra, which is something your birth mother wasn't so great at using, but it worked out. But had it not been me, I don't even want to speak about what could have happened. But because of me, because of my power, my choices, my discipline, and the things that your mother wants you to learn as an example, because she didn't, unfortunately, she got dealt, she wasn't, our dimensions are a little different, but we work on the same ones in many different ways. It's kind of hard to, it's not really hard to explain it, but she just didn't get the good hand. But I had already worked on all of this part, like, before I came into this vessel. So this is like me, your mother, and your birth mother and I's way of just showing you a very great example of how time will play things out. And surprisingly, this played out pretty quickly, even though it felt like forever, because there was a lot of pain, a lot of pain and heartache, and just there's so much going on. And as you know, like there's a side of your mother that doesn't, well, it was her distorted masculine that I pretty much, I buried it. In that event, the situation that happened that you were there for, that was the end of that distorted masculine energy, so that we can, all move forward, and peace, and fellowship, and like all these other good things. So yeah, again, God in the universe deals out the karma, and you don't partake in the folly of that. So part of the justice owed to me was teaching the children, directly or indirectly, of that now dead character your birth mother created. That was attempting to wage the war against me. Young lady, there are many ways I can create an example of the situation that occurred that day. But now you know the importance of being a wise woman, the law, mostly in the spirit. So if you ever face being a witness to something like that again, to condemn the character's demons by speaking against it with your throat chakra. Then kindly walk away with your dignity intact. So in the spirit, you gain respect. That is where all your soul's credentials and credibility exist, young lady. If the world ever tries to deny you of your power, I pray that soon I will have the honor of seeing you again, only in a better situation where we can talk about this a lot further in greater detail, while drinking some nice ice cold tea, taking in the sun's rays. So overall, I want to thank you, young lady, for being present as a leader And I am beyond proud of you and your soul for standing in your power and observing this lesson and the process of how it divinely unfolded into a message for the masses. And you have a big role, a very big role in that already. You trusted your mothers, plural, and now you are set up with a spiritual upper hand in success. And that is something called third law, young lady. I love you very much, my daughter, and I pray that you enjoy the rest of your day. Amen. Hugs and kisses, your divine mother. 105. So, that message was done and ended at 5:09 p.m. So, within at least less than 4 hours for being abundance is able to and then chapter 5, I just realized that chapter 5, and then I was talking about chapter 9 in Proverbs. So that's, wow, that was actually a nice little surprise there from Spirit. But yeah, I wanted you to know that I know that there's so much that I do know, and a lot of this is just I want part of my mission in life is to make sure that it's to bring women together, and it's not the type of women empowerment together where we're out there holding up signs and protesting against this or that, because it's just counterproductive. We'll say that. But it was significant because those women created that energy. And I haven't ever been a big, we are the women and da 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 da. My mother handled things a certain type of way, but sometimes we get a little in our feels and our emotions, and but I just haven't ever been the type to go protesting. I don't like that energy. I don't like politics either. So, but unfortunately, there's a part that I have in a responsibility part. But then again, even that, I'm trying to, I'm creating a world where, your mother, your birth mother, and I are creating a world where, that politics don't exist, because they are a negative energy, and it just brings hate, competition at its just lowest vibrational way. It's just not a good energy, and so that is a lot of what your birth mother, and I have created, and so, amen to that, all of that, but there's just so much gosh dang it, young lady, there's so much that I want to teach you. There's so much I want to teach you, and the kind of energy that I want to share with you, because you are of an age that, I mean, you're a bit older than I was, but I don't know how things work with Christian witches, and I read the book about it, but I just don't know how that works. Like, if there's like a a rite of passage or something that happens at your age. I don't remember seeing that in the book. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. But then I burned it, and I'm not gonna lie about that. I burnt that freaking book because, people were trying to say that I was one, and I was like, I'm something. I'm the divine being. That's me, and that was kind of the struggle your birth mother and I had, is because in that book, and even in the spirit, it was confirmed that Christian witches look up to the divine beings, and being an earth angel, that is me. But I also know how to embody other energies of other angels, and in your birth mother does too. But unfortunately, she had that distorted masculine energy that I had to bury with the axe, wrap it in a tarp and bury it with an axe. But I really didn't have to do all that, but it happened. But it was the mess that got buried, that during that situation. But even though but from what I've got in the vision and the download is that there's still a lot of things your birth mother and I are learning about each other, and why we became aligned the way that we became aligned. But we're always going to still be learning things about each other. But she helped me with opening up some sacred energies within me, and you can ask her about what those are. She knows what they are, and she can tell you. But I won't mention them all on here. But then there were things that I opened up for her as well, and a lot of that was the unconditional love. Even though I knew it was there, but you see, there was a point in time where your birth mother wanted to have a lot of control and power over me, but I knew that it wasn't her. And so that's kind of the interesting thing, is because that I don't know who you are. Who are you? Questions and statements are very significant, because before I burnt that book, The Path of a Christian Witch, or however it's said, I ripped it up first. And I said your birth mother's name, and I was so mad. And I took that book and I ripped it up and I threw it on the ground. I threw it across the room. I don't have really a lot of moments where I do something like that, but that was like one of those rare moments in my life that I'll always remember, because it was a core memory that I created, because I seen your birth mother at the soul level as a divine being, just as my, twin flame and other individuals I can see at that level. And when I tap into those levels, it gets very Mother Nature-y for me, which is something that your birth mother has the gift of being. She walking the pathway of the Christian witch is, she's very tapped in and tuned into that, Mother Nature, Mother Gaia energy, and I almost forgot what that was like, and she showed me that. She helped me remember that, and then I helped her remember unconditional love, and that she's worthy of that, and she's worthy of so much love, romantically and in the different levels of intimacy, and like she's worthy of that. And there were people that would put down your birth mother, and I throughout our lives. When I say lives, like past lives included, and then this lifetime, the things that happened for a reason, and it was the unfolding, and for us to stand up and to both work together on multiple dimensions and clear out a lot of energy and a lot of the mess. And she couldn't have done that without me. And she doesn't necessarily always say that, but I give her credit, and I tell her, I couldn't have done a lot of things without her. Even though she made things a little more complicated, because she is who she is, but we still love her for who she is. We honor her for who she is. And so a lot of the things I try to bring into fruition, not just quantum sensing, but or quantum sensors, but just learning the woman and embracing the woman and bringing into fruition what the woman is. And the woman is wisdom, and that is what the world needs, and leadership. And so you, young lady, there was something that came across as a thought, and it was one of my downloads that I got, one of my visions I got, and it was your birth mother and I went. We didn't really have to go back and forth this a lot, but it was kind of like I was just like, "Hey, this is my vision. This is what happened." And I try to be very careful with my projections, but ultimately, because your mother and I are still learning our hybrid, because we don't want to be, even though we're both now balanced in our divine masculine and our divine feminine energies, now that her distorted masculine energy is now dead, laid to rest with the mess. Rhymes is perfect. So perfect. Amen. Hallelujah. But now that her and I have that balance, we also have to have our balance of her being a Christian witch and me being an earth angel. And so when you were present for that situation, you won't be the only one going through that. There are others, and I may have already met one of those individuals you'll come across in the future, on top of the other one that I already met. But this is just how it's coming through. But ultimately, because of your birth mother and your divine mother's energies combining, when we come into this sacred reunion, more in the physical, just like some of the other members of my soul tribe, ultimately you're going to be this hybrid, because you are the future. You are. That is what we do as mothers, is we we teach our children, we protect them, but because you are the oldest. You'll be that leader, that hybrid, and that's pretty much what I was for my birth family. But they were, I won't get into all that. We can talk about that at a later time, like when we see each other again. But it was just that's just something that kind of happens. But fortunately for you, your birth mother and I put in a lot of doggone work to create this world for our children, and you have a big role in that, young lady. And these are things my parents, my birth parents, didn't tell me. They didn't try to. My birth mother tried to empower me. My birth father dismissed me a lot. But it was a good thing, because I didn't get attached, even though it was like an unhealthy relationship. I didn't get attached to the masculine energies, and that is why I now exercise my power as an empowered, wise woman, the law, to word things and spell it out and put it into existence in a very delicate, truthful way. And that was something that I'm grateful for. And there are times when your birth mom, she knows I'll tell you the truth. She knows I will tell you the truth. But she also knows how much I love her very much. And along with the other women that were along with us in this journey, how I love them unconditionally, even though some of them had some things that I didn't quite agree with either, but I still love them unconditionally for who they are, because I know that they learned a lot, and they were learning a lot, and I was learning a lot. We were all learning a lot, and that is the beautiful thing about being a wise woman in the law, is that you learn so much throughout life, young lady, like so much. And the generations that your birth mother and I, your divine mother's soul, had to endure through multiple reincarnations was absolutely ridiculous. But they were living and learning and trying to do the best they can do with what they got. And so I know sometimes your birth mom can be a tad difficult, but she's just trying to do the best she can with what she had. And so when she was creating, her distorted masculine was creating messes, I just tried to embrace her the best I could with unconditional love and compassion and understanding, because I wasn't too overbearing or too chaotic. I mean, yeah, I spent most of my life feeling like I live in a paradox, which everyone kind of essentially does, but there was I just try to send her messages and talk to her in the spirit, because she didn't quite her distorted masculine just, I'm just gonna say it was just an a-hole, and wasn't very nice at all. And some of that was my birth family's energy, and that's kind of what happens sometimes with high level soulmates and even with twin flames as well. Is that you know your mother will fill in the blanks of a lot of this, but it's really just working through energies, and you really have to understand. And then there's times where it's been really hard because like there aren't most people, I can look at them as just an energy, and for whatever reason it was very hard to do that with your birth mom. And but I know there was a divine reason behind all of it, and it's played out, and it happened the way it needed to happen, and we're all good now. But it was just I knew at the end of the day, and I knew at the end of the situation, I would get I have a lot of different pieces of justice that I'm getting for a lot of the things that I endured. But I learned a lot, and the most important part for me, because like I said, I haven't bared children myself, so a lot of this message that's going out is to also be an example, to show that you don't have to bear children to be a loving and caring mother. It's kind of like people when they say I got my auntie, but it's like it takes a very brave and courageous woman to allow another woman access to her precious child that she birthed. And yeah, there's a lot of that goes on in the 3D, where it's like you take your kid to the babysitter, and there's like all these things that happen, right? But when it comes to the spiritual part of it, which most people are not conscious of, but when you become conscious of the connections you can make spiritually with other people's children, it can get crazy, because there are other things that others do not see. And because I am prophetic and I am a prophet, I can see this. And my friend Valerie taught me a lot of how to handle these things, because she's been practicing in, I mean, like, when we went through basic training together, her and I very much, we got mistaken for each other all the time. They used to call us the M&M twins, because our last name initials are with an M, and we sound the same. Back then we looked a lot alike, so it's just like, I forgot where I was really going with this. This happens sometimes, but it's okay. But it takes you have to like know how to be responsible with your energy. And when you're given a situation, which the one you were given for that day, when I read your energy, I don't always get the complete download of the things, but after that situation happened, I got a lot, and it almost made its own little micro world. Just, I'm gonna leave it as that, but that's pretty much what happened just from that one moment, that one situation. And so in my business, I like like I said, that's its own little micro world, but it's not the one I want to focus on. That's why I'm just taking this time now to get the message out and to give you credit, young lady, for your leadership presence in that situation and betwixting that character out. So, I mean, you played a very, very, very big role, and I'm going to say there, I don't know how much your birth mother has told you, but there were plenty of other individuals that were involved that should not have been involved. And so the fact that she trusts me enough and allowed, and I did the same, and we had a spiritual telepathic conversation, because I don't just only talk telepathically with my twin. Like, I can talk telepathically with others, like yourself, but which is, we're probably some high level soulmates. It's just a thing, but it's, but I didn't push that. Like, I gave it time. I let your mother allow that to happen, because even though I didn't quite know exactly how we would connect, your mother followed her intuition, I followed my intuition, and we, ultimately wanted you to be set up for success and for you to see an example of that, because that was the end of bad times for all of us. And now we can build our temple, with the people and the right types of people, in the right places at the right time, doing the right things, and everything's okay and all that. But there's a lot of beauty in just being a woman overall across the board. And the fact that because of that situation, your spiritual credibility has definitely gone up. And ultimately, that is what every woman should want for her children, is for them to have spiritual credibility. And my birth parents, and actually really nobody, taught me about spiritual credibility. And the wind's blowing as I say that, so I know Mother Gaia is out here saying, just preach it, administer the minister. But yeah. And so that's a big part of your birth mother, and your divine mother's responsibility, and our mission is to teach and protect the spiritual credibility of the collective, because everyone has it, but because of her and I's turmoil we went through, it felt like freaking torture, at times. And I caught a lot of emotions more than she did, but because of that, you were gifted by the divine, through our situation that we very consciously collaborated on, but it unfolded a little weird, but we collaborated on it. And there were some unexpected parts, but because of our true hearts and our love for our children, you were gifted, young lady, with a big role. And your, like I said, your spiritual credibility has gone up, and that's really good, especially being a hybrid version. And I try not to get into all the technicalities of a lot of that the spirituality part of it, but at the same time, we can talk about that at a later time, but it's just knowing that, at the age you are at, and being the oldest, that to have that gift is something special, and it's from the divine. And I take credit for it, and I give your mother credit for it, but ultimately, Source is the one that guided us both, for the most part, but guided, into the situation, because the people that your birth mother used to deal with, they and the people in my blood, I'm not going to just put it all on her, but like people, individuals in my bloodline, and spiritually and throughout a long history, they used the word manipulate, and manipulating energies. And even some of the individuals that I have learned some of my spiritual lessons from, and kind of like how to train my intuition a little bit more. A lot of it, made sense, but then I was like, well, I've been doing that the whole time. I just did it different, which is, it's always a good thing when you find out that you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it different. That means you are in your creative, divine woman creativity energy, young lady. That is what that is, and it is a beautiful thing to be in. Like, I'm getting chills talking about it, like back of my head all lit up and everything. Like, it is so beautiful to be in that energy, and to when you find out you're not following the rest, and you are making the best with your own way, like that's a blessing. Those are gifts. Those are gifted moments, and you should embrace every single one of them, because it's called not being with the program, not being with the matrix. That's what that is. And I've done that a lot. And I just lived in my authenticity, but unfortunately your birth mother wasn't able to do a lot of that, and she had to do it behind closed doors. And I was more out with mine, but I don't identify as a Christian witch, and that can be very hard, because even me being an earth angel, it was very hard for me to even accept that. But your birth mother had her ways of presenting that truth about herself to me in a very beautiful way, very serendipitous. And she just has her ways that she does things, and then she has her ways that she does things that I don't like. But there's a lot of things I know that I did she didn't like either, but it wasn't like I was as malicious as she was sometimes. But I know it wasn't completely her, and it was that distorted masculine energy that's laid to rest, but it was just like Um, you know, gosh dang, there's just so much I can tell you about your birth mom. And even though, like, you actually, live with her, it's like there's just so much about her spirit. And she doesn't like it when I refer to her as a divine being, or how I seen her. And that was part of the reason why her distorted masculine came out to really freaking play and make a mess, is because she I scared the crap out of her. She scared the crap out of me too. And sometimes that happens, and but you work through it. And I know I kind of like go on here, but I've had like a cup of coffee, and my ADHD meds are kind of just meh. But I don't know, young lady. There's just so much I can tell you, and I know there's so much your mother knows, your birth mother knows I can teach you, and your siblings, and it's just there's just so much. And she knows that I love y'all very, very, very much. And she knows that a lot of this was all because, when I divorced my ex, I had a few choices, but I ultimately went with my gut and my intuition. And most people, when they go through divorce, they go to the bar or do all this craziness, and or they'll sit around and they'll mope about it, and grieve, and that's normal, and that's okay. But there's another part where you have to learn to transmute the energy. And so I transmuted that energy, and I did what everyone laughed at me for, which was I was going to make a difference in this world and change this world, if not create a whole new world where children and women can be protected. And I'm not saying all women, because there are some women that they just their time in this life, in their vessel, is just meant to live out a distorted masculine energy, and but they will not be a part of the world that your birth mother and I have created, because it's not welcome, because that is, we're trying to protect, and that is our responsibility. In a lot of ways, we protect our children and other mothers in a lot of ways, and those are our responsibilities. 144, as I said that. But yeah, like, it's over time you'll understand more and understand more. But I know you already understand and understand quite a bit. When I picked up on your energy signature, it was very strong, very sensible. You You actually reminded me a lot of myself when I was your age, and actually when I was a lot younger. If anything, if I didn't know any better, I'd say that. I mean, you're definitely some form of a reincarnation of myself, a young version of myself, and like an older version too. But I'll tell you what, young lady, when I was your age, I kind of went through my phases of being super serious and being very level headed. I've always had a good head on my shoulders, but just, I've always led with my heart though. And so I kind of went through my phases seasons, I guess you would say, more, and it lasts a year or so, and then I kind of get my playful energy and whatever. And that was another thing your birth mother taught me, was to get back in my playful energy, and I was trying to, and then she threw it down, and then she uh, you know helped build it back up, and then eventually it just got ADHD crazy, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna roll with this, right? And so but yeah, there's just so much. I just and I guess this like really kind of goes for any other um, mother who has bared children, or just may have just bared a business. But it's like, I can, once I get tapped into those energies and situations, like, I pretty much, everything I touch turns to gold. And I'm not the only one that happens with, because my friend Valerie taught me how that happens, and how she does, she helped bring that out of me too. Um, and she has her twin flame, and I mean, there's just, I don't, like I said, I don't know exactly all the things your birth mother has told you, young lady, but I'm just letting you know that when I use the word proud, I don't use it in the way of being prideful. I use it in the way of, like, um, and maybe I'll come up with another word for it, but it's just like, when I say it, I mean like a victorious, empowered, strong willed, divine source compliment when I use the word proud, or when I say I am proud of you. And when I say I'm proud of you for being present, like, because that is where the credibility word in the spirit is, the word being present um, is. That's where it's kind of taken note. Like, even though it's not always said, and like, that's another thing, is like, your birth mother and I are trying to create the narrative to help that credibility stick to more individuals in their souls. And so the word being present and as a leader already puts you in a higher rank in the spirit. So even if there is anything that happens in the 3D, you're already set up for success. I mean, already being birthed from your mother, and then her and I's energy working the way it does, it you're already set up. But there was a lot of things where I didn't know for sure if, like I said, how we would connect, but it happened, and it was unexpected for me. But I am very grateful for that moment. And you should be too, but you can do that at your own will, your own choice. But this is me trying to kind of help you see through it, because I saw on your face that you were just really over it. And I'll tell you what, young lady, I cannot tell you how many times I've rolled my eyes in the spirit at your birth mom, how she just be getting on my doggone nerve. But she knows how much I unconditionally love her, and so these are the kinds of things that we're laughing about now, that your birth mom and I are trying to create, and that you will carry on as a legacy because you're that hybrid version of us, and this, with all the spiritual energy, is it's just, this is how we should support each other as women, as females, as feminine energies, and even though we have our masculine energy still, but it's knowing how to make our divine giving energy. And I will tell you, you were in your divine feminine energy in that situation, but because you even though when you said what you said to stop that distorted masculine character from going any further, you also you gave me. So when you give, you gave me the opportunity I needed to walk away. I was going to do it anyways, but we let you lead in that situation. So when you said what you said, it stopped the chaos, and I was able to leave, which gave me an opportunity. So a divine masculine energy will give an opportunity and then let the individual have the choice. The distorted masculine energy will give an opportunity, but does not give the choice, because it is a narcissistic spirit. So I know you can understand exactly what I'm saying now, but you were in a divine masculine energy as well that evening, and I am so very proud of you again for being present as a leader and taking on the situation you did, because I know how that briefing must have been for you before you even showed up. And the briefing I got, I had a feeling there might have been something, because I talked about it, but I just didn't lead with that, because ultimately I was there to heal. I was there to, which happened, but we were all healers in that moment on some level, but a lot of it was mainly to heal your birth mother of that distorted masculine energy, so the war that was waged can be stopped. And it was, because you said what you said. So you've already taken on a woman responsibility of stopping a waging of war. And so congratulations, young lady, on that. I'd give you a trophy for it. Maybe I might just figure out a way to make you one and give it to you, but it just but these are the things, though. These are the things that your birth mother and I, as your divine mother, are trying to create. We're trying to create these just beautiful things, and to do it right, and to do it without all the suffering, because that's what the old world that we grew up in try to program us to believe, that we had to suffer. And I suffered through a lot, and your birth mother suffered through some things as well, even though she hasn't completely told me all of them, and sometimes I have to figure it out through the spirit, and I but there was a lot, though. And like I said, she got the brunt end of the stick in some ways, but There was ways that I got it too, but I'd worked through a lot of it in past lives. That's kind of sometimes things that happen when you come across, and luckily for you, I mean, there's just so much wisdom within myself and your birth mom that, I mean, the new world is, it's like, you're old enough to know, and the reason why I believe this is happening to you the way it is just because they're happening not to you but for you. These opportunities the way that they are is because you have enough knowledge. Well, like myself, like I had enough knowledge about the old world, and I was a perfect little mix, a hybrid between the old and the new. Um, and I was able to see into the situations and not really be part of the situations, even though there were people and their demons and their projections that try to make me part of their situations. And I wasn't about that. And you know, your birth mother helped me get out of it, but I understood that she also had to wear a mask through quite a bit, and it would really genuinely like sadden me. And so, because of all that, though, um, this is where we're at today. Um, and I was, I told her yesterday, what the plan kind of was for today. And, even then, it's had some unexpected unfoldings. And, um, a lot of it is I don't know. Like I said, that there's so many ways that I can explain it. I don't know exactly how, because your birth mom and I are both ADHD is a mofo, but I try to be very specific with my words as well, but it can be a little hard. But hopefully you don't have ADHD. um, but I don't know. Just there's just so much. And I know that there's a part of you that knows how to read between the lines. There's a part of you that knows how to infer, make inferences. The wind's blowing as I say that. Like I know that you know exactly what I'm trying to tell you, and the message I'm trying to present to you. And the message is that we're created and put into existence for the greater good of humanity because of the things that have happened. But the irony that and I'm not going to talk about that, but overall, though, this message today was mainly to, give you credit spiritually and put it on the electromagnetic field and the quantum sensing. So, I still have to protect you, but, and so does, your birth mom. But, in the spirit, spirit knows exactly who you are, and spirit is taking notes many notes of your credibility that you've earned through that. And you know, the fact that you got to see and have confirmation that I'm definitely not the type to hurt anybody. That it's just not who I am. There's just growing up, there was a form of guilt. You know, there's sibling altercations, but there's just a form of guilt I would get when I was ever presented with any of those situations. And so the irony in the way that the thing played out was pretty weird for me, but what your birth mother knew. She knew, and she trusted, but she knew. She knew. But when she knows, she knows, and when I know, I know. Because you have both of us, young lady, you're gonna really freaking know. But it's gonna be good for you, though. It's not, you won't, like I said, you won't have to suffer too much, and your siblings won't have to suffer too much, and, you know, a lot of children, this world won't have to suffer too much, and the irony that a lot of these children are coming in this world in these vessels, and their souls are like grown adults. That generation alpha, that's that generation you're gonna be that leader of. But you know, they ain't gonna make it too hard for you. I'm gonna let you know that right now. I got those visions and downloads already. But you're right where you need to be, young lady. You're right where you need to be, just in perfect alignment with the divine and the source. And I get chills as I say that, and my heart gets a little fluttery, but yeah, you're right where you need to be. And I mean, I'm so impressed with you that I just want to say your doggone name so much, just speak it into existence. But you know, I really have to trust spirit, and you know, already know that it's like everything's already been taken care of for you. But it's just this is how leadership works. This is how it's supposed to work. Like, does it sound like a bunch of all this and that? Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's the intentions that matter. So I always have good intentions. Even even in the craziness, and you got to witness that. You got to witness that. But you know, whenever you're done listening to this, I need you to go and I need you to go to your birth mother, and I need you to give her the biggest freaking hug and a kiss on the crown, and just tell her how much you love her, you appreciate her for all that she is, and you honor her for all that she is. Because she definitely deserves it. She definitely does. It's just like me, she's been through it. But like I said, I haven't buried children, but she birthed you. So whenever you're done listening to this, you can just do that for me, please. I would greatly appreciate that, young lady. And dang. Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna post this, upload it, let go and let God with it, and I pray that I'll be, seeing you very, very soon, young lady, and I love you very, very much. I love your siblings very, very much, and I love your birth mother very, very much, and I am so grateful that y'all have been present and come into my life. Amen.